And good evening, everyone. Welcome to Online Darts. Here we are, the preview for tonight's final. As always, joined by Mace the Ace, Chris. We've got lots to talk about. We've got this final, but there's so much breaking news in the darts world. This is going to be a good hour or so.
At least.
Yeah, and come and get involved in the chat room. It's great to have you all on board, as always. First of all, let's start now in the present. What a week this has been.
Yeah, I was just checking up on all the notes from the week. A tournament weekly average of 86.12, 191 180s. We've had a 170, a couple of 10 darters. We've had Kevin Burness back up last week's performances. First man to get through this week on the Wednesday. So he's going to be fresh and well rested for tonight, where the other boys have knocked 10 bells out of each other for 2 days and 2 nights.
Yeah, I was going to say, those two groups, they've been through the mill. And
well, Richie Burnett potentially, I mean, he was top on Thursday night. He was either going to top the group or miss out.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just so tight. It was such a bizarre scenario. I mean, Cammy would be kicking himself. I mean, he should have got through on the Wednesday. Actually played some of his best darts on the Wednesday. But unfortunately, Kevin Burness just went through the card, didn't he? And and Cammy picked up a few losses. But yeah, throughout the week, Cameron got better and better and better, and he threw some lovely stuff last night at a big 103 plus average.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's come on a lot quicker. You know, he's another one. None of these boys have been earning. None of them have been playing. I mean, they might have been playing the odd bit of online, you know, as in, you know, from their living room or their bedroom or their kitchen. But this is like a proper environment to play in. Yeah,
100%. And apart from the obvious names, obviously we've seen Kevin Burness on stage. Who's caught your eye away from the norm?
Darren Beveridge. I think he's going to. I honestly, I think he's going to be a superstar. He's the hardest thing to get initially in darts is the fundamentals, right? And he has it absolutely down. He's got a throw I would dream of. And he's got a great attitude. Really level-headed, lovely, nice fella. And my God, can he play darts when he's absolutely on it? I mean, to be honest, all the Scottish lads, I only know them from, you know, following a bit of the Challenge Tour stuff. But actually to meet them in person and get to know them a little bit and watch them up close, I've been impressed. Greg Ritchie's he's one of those, if he's on it, he's really on it. He's, you know, a lot of these young players, and especially the players without a lot of experience, once they got the fundamentals down and the counting and everything else down, it's then the evolution of their B game. And myself and Paul Nicholson constantly go on about it because it is imperative for you to go to that next level. You look at all the greats, even not when they're not quite on it, they still find a way to win because they've got such a solid B game. Where as you're coming through as a player, your B game, you know, Michael Smith suffered with it for years. You know, he was either absolutely like flat out 105, 110, or maybe sort of late 80s, early 90s, where yeah, once you make that transition, it's all about learning, you know. But these boys, they're in a great position. They're gaining experience. They're earning while they're learning, and they're playing in a fabulous environment. I mean, you know, people can say what they like about it, as long as they're talking about it. That's all that matters.
And they are talking about it.
And they are talking about it. You know, as we were talking earlier, you know, we've more than breached 500,000 viewers in the last 5 weeks, which is just, it's testimony to what it is. And listen, you know, we might get players disappointed that they might not have done as well or have won it or have got through to the final, but they all go out here with us, you know, grateful and thankful and, you know, with smiles on their faces. And that's, you know, it's all about entertaining, you know, darts fans and making the players happy, and we're achieving both, which is great.
Yeah. Last night, though, before we get some slides up, and come and sat down in the chat room, everyone. We'll come to you boys in a minute. We're not neglecting you. Don't worry.
No.
One man stole the show again last night, and it is the mad hatter from Wales, and he's still got it, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm in my own private
soundproof area at the way.
Soundproof room. So in the production suite where all these lads are, who bring you the pictures and the sound, they can actually see me constantly, and they can see my reaction to everything that's going on. And Ritchie last night it was just, I don't know, he's just so entertaining. I mean, the reactions and the things he says, and listen, me and Richie have been great to catch up with him. I've not seen him for a few years, and we've been reminiscing. We went up to the Midlands Open. We were talking about it last night. So he's come all the way from Wales up to the Midlands and to play in it used to be a really big tournament there back then. I'm pretty sure it'll come back when things return. And the next day down in Barry was the Glamorgan Open. And I drove all the way there and got Richie first round. And I was like, no. And, Richie's had sort of 2 or 3 parts of his career. In the mid-90s.
Unplayable.
He literally, on them old boards, within the system he was playing, he was in numbers and averages which were ridiculous. And in opens especially, we didn't record averages. You might, if you had a 10 dart, you might talk about it, and especially a 9, which were like, as rare as rocking horse do. But yeah, and then again he sort of come again, in the early part of the 2000s, and then he come again in 2010, 11, where he got back inside the top 32. Such a great talent. I was watching him practice yesterday when he's nice and relaxed, and obviously a lot of the things that go on with his body is once the dart's left his hand. But that just shows you the amount of tension, because when he's in the practice room, it's just silky smooth, and it's 180 after 180. He loves these big balls. He thinks they're, he loves the fact that they're just so easy to play on. But yesterday, when he just had a nightmare against Alan Norris, he couldn't find a thing, and the more he got frustrated and the harder he tried, the closer he got, but he didn't hit anything.
Yeah.
And Alan, you could see it, you could almost read that game because it's set up for the rest of the night absolutely perfectly. And he battled, and in the end, he got what he needed to get against Nathan Gerlin, and he's through to tonight. And it'll be interesting to see how he approaches tonight. But he's having a great time. He's absolutely loving it.
Yeah, we're going to go through some tables and that, but let's come and say hello to everyone in the chat room before we do. Charlie is in, Max, Kevin, Danny, how are we all going? Sador, how are you? William says, will Matt Clark get a chance? Just lost his tour card. Yeah, look, no one's being ruled out.
No.
It's just obviously we only had planning a couple of weeks in advance, but no one is ruled out. And
if you haven't got a tour card, and
just message us on social media and we'll give you the relevant email addresses and whatever. No one's being ruled out, and hopefully this is going to run for a while. So yes, look, we're looking for the best outside
a while, and we don't mean weeks and months.
So yeah, Kevin, the Raven Effect, how are we all doing? So again, any questions, get them into the chat room, because we'll talk all darts later on as well. There's some stuff to talk about there. That's for sure. That one first of all. So no, we don't. My mistake. Labelled them up wrong. There we are. Get there in the end. Group A table, and it was Kevin Burness who come through that. Decent stats there from Iron Man.
Yeah, dropped only 4 games for the week. For the first 3 days, a leg difference, which is really impressive, of plus 21. His average for those first 3 days was 89.46, which is, it's hard to explain to people because they always want to make that comparison to, maybe what they see on TV or in the Challenge Tour. These guys aren't pros. No. They might be ex-pros, they might have just dropped off the tour, they might be going through the early stages of their careers. This is almost like a breeding ground for players who we've got them involved because they're a legend, and we know the fans loved seeing Monkey and Les Wallace, and and you can tell by the reaction from the seniors announcement how much they enjoy seeing the players. But yeah, Burness, he's old school. He really is old school. He's got an old school approach, an old school type throw.
Yeah.
He just gets up there and grafts, and he's hard to beat.
100%. And then from there, let's get this one right. I think it's that one. Yeah, there we are. Got it right this time. The afternoons, the 2 days. Greg Ritchie, quite impressive. It was a tough one to call, this one.
Yeah, the first 3 days, he sort of you never quite know what you're going to get from him. He does blow a bit hot and cold, and again, it's not a slight on his ability. He just doesn't have a particularly strong B game. But my goodness, when he's absolutely on it, I don't think there's a player that's had more ton plus finishes in him, that's for sure. And he showed the scoring power he's got as well. I mean, he chipped in. I mean, his ton plus. He's had 19 ton plus checkouts. That's 7 more than his closest rival.
Huge.
Which is, I mean, it's just
Wade-esque.
Yeah, I mean, anything like don't. Well, I'm not including the ones from sort of like 85 onwards, but I mean, he's equally as mustard on those as well. The little 2-darters, 78s, 81s, but 19 ton plus finishes, a high of 154, and he's also chipped in with 47 180s. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just. I mean, Kevin Burness, who was the sort of dominant player, although he only, I mean, this is accounting for the week before as well, but I mean, you look at Jamie Clark, played the same amount of games at 29, Dave Parletti, 32. So, I mean, they were both worthy winners of the league. I know Conan was absolutely spewing, but fortunately, he come back and did the business.
And from there, this is what we were talking about earlier. This is where it was all on the line last night between the top three. It was great to see Alan back, but again, I think he needed those couple of days.
Yeah, he's not played any darts at all.
Exactly, yeah. We saw glimpses the fish.
I mean, he's gone through, one of the most tragic things a person can go through, and it knocked him bandy. I mean, it was only 5 years ago he was hitting 9 darters at the Players' Champs. He's and beating Michael Smith in the process. I mean, the guy, serious player. 2014, he lost in the final of the Worlds. Was it 14?
Bunting way in 14.
Yeah. Bunting. Yeah. So the guy's most definitely a player of high quality. But more important, I think he just enjoyed the environment, because we've all missed out on, the camaraderie and socialing. And it was just great to see him, and he was with a great group of lads, and obviously he knew Ritchie really well. Lived in Scotland for a while, so knew the Scottish boys well. So it was good to see Alan, and we've seen some glimpses. We did see some glimpses. I mean,
those top three though.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was phenomenal. And you got three players in different stages of their career. Ritchie's looking to try and find that form he's had in, like I said, in sort of 3 different eras, and he's so desperate to get back involved. And he's putting in the work, and you can see he's putting in the work, because some of the averages, I mean, like I said, he got a tournament average of 90.28, and that was after he threw in a couple of stinkers last night.
A couple of 74s.
And of course, when he was involved a few weeks ago, and we had him back involved there, I mean, he had 109.31 average in one of those games. I mean, he's had 300 plus averages over the 2 nights. I mean, and in one of the games he had like a near 43% on his doubles, because that's let him down, and that's the one thing, sort of the evolution of Darren Beveridge's game will be those doubles. And once he does go missing on the doubles, but once he gets that right, I mean, his scoring is right up there.
Got Conan in the chat room as well, watching along pre-match.
Hey, get up there, Conan.
See on screen now the bracket on how everyone got there and how it all works. Who came through what group? Some couple of great questions in there. We'll answer them shortly as well. Guys.
This week alone, we had 56 ton plus checkouts this week. And that's in 95 matches. In 531 legs, we had 191 180s.
Wow.
I mean,
that's huge.
Yeah. I mean, everybody at some stage or another contributed and performed to a real high and entertaining level.
Yeah.
It was just a great week of darts. I've loved every minute of it. I'm exhausted, but I've loved every minute of it.
Tonight's fixtures now on screen. Which ones of these are going to have the biggest say on the title?
I mean, you could genuinely make a claim for each and every one of them.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, listen, we know the ability of Conan. He could literally rock up tonight. hit his best form. I mean,
a couple of 99s, a couple of 10 averages from him along the way,
and he makes it look so easy when he's right.
Yeah.
And that's, you can say that for a lot of players. Especially tonight. You know what you're going to get out of Kevin Burness. Average anything between 90 and 95. He's going to be solid on his doubles, around about 35%. But then you've got players who can really
go to that 105, 106 level.
Really raise their game. Ritchie, obviously, we know Conan can do it.
Beveridge, Darren as well.
Darren Beveridge, Greg Ritchie when he's on that streak. The start is just so important. And first game up, it couldn't get any tastier, could it?
Well, first and last. Last up, potentially, Burness against Burnett. Good luck saying that one in comms.
I kept calling Burness last night. And it could all come down to that.
100%.
We've had three occasions it came down to the very last game. But Conan, Whitehead, Richie Burnett, good luck picking a winner tonight across the card. I mean, they made Richie 4-1.
Oh, don't. When I messaged you, I said Richie's 4-1 to win tonight in a 5-horse race. That's just staggering. Look, I'm not saying he goes and wins it, but in terms of betting wise, they priced it wrong.
Yeah, it's too big. He's
too big.
He's too big. He's not a 4-1 shot with what we've seen of him. And like I said, we know we're going to get out of Burness. The rest of the field, we could get absolutely anything, and one of them could just turn up tonight and breeze it.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah, I can't pick a winner. I just think 4-1 for me represents huge value.
I say we can't pick one, but it's that time. You know what's coming there. If you had 20 of your English pence, where would it be going?
I'm going to go reliability, and I'm going to go Burness. He's won it. He won it last week, and went through the card unbeaten in a really good field, including Martin Adams. And because the field, can blow hot and cold, I think it may come down to the one who's the most reliable, and I think that's Burness. And he won't feel like he's got anything to prove. He won it last week. He got through the first opportunity this week, and I think he might do the double.
First player to go back to back in the online darts live league.
Exactly. And yeah, I'm like with those kind of things, and I think he's got the opportunity to do it, and I think he might do it. I mean, but like I said, I wouldn't be shocked if any one of those other four names just rocked up here tonight and went 9500, 9500, 95 and won 105 full matches.
My heart is saying the Prince. And I'd love to see Richie just put it, because we'd get a great celebration in here. But I quite like the look of Darren Beveridge's consistency. I think again,
his scoring, the scoring phase, he's right up there. Just every now and again, he can just go missing on the doubles. He loses a bit of confidence. If he starts hitting them early and sort of first or second dart, he'll go through the night doing the same. Yeah,
let's go into the chat room quickly. We'll come on to the 50 bit in a minute, because we know where we're going with that one.
Yeah.
There was a good comparison here. Darren Beveridge is like Chaz Barstow, New Revolution to Dart. Yeah, look, I think over the next couple of years, we will definitely see him have a tour card and play at that highest level.
Yeah, PDC's gain or loss.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we'll get him ready, and then we did last year. Yeah. We got him ready with David Evans, Richie Head as Keith Barry.
Yeah, and they all went on and
did great things.
And picked up the cards. It's he's going to be a fascinating career to follow, and I wish him nothing but all the best. He ticks all the boxes for me. I think he's as I always say, hard work beats talent, and talent don't work hard.
100%. And again, I think we're all told that at a young age, and I think it sticks with some people, and not with others.
And the thing is, of all the sports out, I mean, I know people can get born with natural ability and everything else, but it's no surprise that the guys that work hardest, tend to have longevity, and B, more often than not, do the best. I mean, you look at Merv King into his, is he 50?
Yeah, it has to be.
Yeah, it has to be.
I'm sorry, Merv.
and he's recently made, major finals.
100%.
And he works hard.
Yeah.
And he's what ability he does have. He's absolutely wrung every last little drip out of it. And people like that. I know he's a bit of Marmite, and some people don't like him. Some people like him, but from an application standpoint, you won't do bad looking up to Merv.
From a media and punditry point of view, we do like a maverick.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we do. The old irresponsible genius line, isn't it? That was Eric. I mean, he was.
I say that because Ronnie obviously played at the Crucible this afternoon.
Well, again, he's an irresponsible genius, and there obviously is something different. They're made and wired different to the rest of us because they just are mavericks and they are geniuses in their field.
Yeah, 100%.
You look at Georgie Best.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Alex Higgins.
Yeah.
It's just something that makes them special.
Yeah, 100%. Well, it's that time as well. Week 6, we've got some returning faces. We've got a couple of newbies, some returning faces.
Yeah, if people wonder what that is, the ones that have to come from a long way, and of course, once rules change, we will be getting people over from all over the world to play. So once we, the ones that come in from far afield that just get the Thursday and Friday,
will stay the following week to make it worth.
The lads then put them in the following week, so they get another 5 days.
Once they're in the bubble and everything like that.
Exactly. All the hassle of the COVID tests and getting them in the bubble and everything else it's a ball ache. So next week we have on the Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday Nathan Gervin, Robert Thornton back. I'm looking forward to seeing Robert back.
100%. He looked good last time.
Yeah, he needed. You could tell he was rusty.
Yeah.
He'll come back full of beans because I can assure you he'd have gone back and practice and thought,
100%.
I'm not having that again. Jamie Kellen, who really grew in front of our very eyes.
Yeah.
Alan Norris, obviously he's down, so he's staying for the week. Corinne Hammond's back and Richard Norris. And then Thursday morning, joining the 3 that finished 4, 5, and 6 will be Wes Newton. Be great to see Wes.
Looking forward to see Wes getting involved.
Yeah, former Premier League player.
The Warrior. 9 data at Blackpool.
Yeah, won multiple, off TV ranking titles. Made the final in Vegas.
Another one
beat me on the
arguably the Premier League ruined.
Yes. Yeah, he never seemed to recover from that. So it'll be Wes Newton, Fallon, and Jared back in for the mornings, and then the night session I'm really looking forward to. So the winner of the Group A on the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday goes straight into the final. The top 2 will be going into Thursday and Friday night's group with, and good luck with this, Jason Askew, Martin Adams, and Sean Fisher.
Yeah, Sean Fisher looked really, really good at Q School. I thought he looked decent. I'm not going to lie, I didn't know a lot about him personally, but we looked at the numbers from Q School and whatever, and looked solid.
Which is how we reach out to the players that we get involved. I mean, we can't touch the 128 tour card holders because of rules. But while the Challenge Tour and these pro tours are a little bit up in the air, maybe the PDC will, everybody was a little bit, I wonder how this is going to work.
Webcam darts, wasn't it?
Yeah, webcam darts. But I think once they've seen that this is basically a totally professional operation, they may give the opportunities from players ranked, 65 to 128, a little bit of a pass and allow them to get involved. I mean, great for the players, a great earning opportunity, a great opportunity to get some much needed hockey time.
100%.
You can practice as much as you like, but if you're not actually involved and playing seriously competitive darts, I'm not saying career ending, but for a lot of those players ranked 65 to 128, playing on that tour is imperative because that's where they learn.
Yeah, 100%. But really, really good blend. I say, looking forward to see Jason Askew back because I think he's a real talent. When again, we talk about B games, he's one. If he can get that B game, he's a huge danger.
Yeah, if he could just put 5 points on his B game because his A game's just ridiculous.
Unbelievable. As I say, great to see Wes back. Fallon, obviously.
I think we run her ragged the first
to be fair, we killed her for 3 weeks in a row.
She was literally out on her feet. Of course,
Yeah.
she got Rory at home, a young fella, and it's hard for her to be away for that amount of time. So yeah, I think we'll see
refreshed
a
Fallon.
refreshed and revved up Fallon.
Yeah, Jared Cole again, huge talent.
Yeah, another young man I got a lot of time for. Nice and polite, goes about his business well, and talented. And another one that is getting better with, when things eventually get back to normal. Of course, that won't mean the end of this, because this is exactly what players need that are not on the tour. If you're not on the main tour, where are you playing? Where are you earning your money?
You're not.
And you're under the lights here. This is a TV studio.
It's been broadcast to thousands.
Yeah, well, over 500,000 in the first 5 weeks. It's people are watching it from all over the world, and although we can't say too much, there's lots more to come.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah,
and all you players that said it was a load of shite. Well, unlucky.
Think again. I say, obviously, I know I'm good mates, but looking forward to see Jamie Cannon back as well, because he's settled in.
Yeah, I didn't know him. And then when I seen him play his first game, I feared the worst for him. I thought, oh God, he looked out of his depth. But then he sort of come out of his shell.
Got used to it. And
yeah, exactly. And what a great advantage next time, whether he's playing Super League or he plays County when that comes back, or he plays in some of the England dart stuff. Honestly, you as a player, to be able to play in this kind of environment, when you then get sort of like thrown at what you would think be thrown in at the deep end, you're not.
No.
You're not.
What the youngsters have said as well, Greg Ritchie said it, Jamie said it, it's picking brains in that practice room, like Martin Adams, like Richie Burnett. It's picking
like Alan Norris.
It's their brains they're
like
picking.
Robert Fortin.
And the knowledge that these youngsters are getting from just talking to these guys and practicing with them.
Just a few pointers. That's how it was for me coming through. I'd be stood there practicing with room with Eric for 10 years, didn't I? But I'd be with Keith Deller, and I'd be sort of picking his brains constantly, and Bob Anderson and Phil, and it's such a it's just the little things they teach you, just maybe some preparation stuff, sort of how to handle pressure in certain situations. Yeah, it's invaluable.
Moving on, it's been a busy week away from here. We'll touch on it first, because this is probably the biggest buzz on social media. The World Seniors has been announced, and their names been dropped. Great news for us here at Online Darts. We're the official media partner.
Yeah, congratulations.
Well. Yeah, which is huge, and I literally cannot wait. And
I'm tapping you up for a job if the broadcasters don't give me a job.
But the buzz on social media about this World Seniors is absolute. We've got it launched during the Premier League. The Premier League's coming up, yet all I see on social media is the World Seniors.
I've never known a reaction to something darting related quite like this ever. Maybe when Barney joined the PDC, or Merv King, who said he never would and then did. Maybe Hanky and Adams when they played in the Grand Slam, but even that's just clutching at straws. It's been I've never had so many sort of questions thrown at me about it. It's and just to make everybody understand, it's only available to those 50 and over who don't have a tour card, because the PDC do not allow anybody to play anything but PDC darts without their, and they're not going to give anybody any a pass to play in it, and that's fair enough. They're protecting their brand, and they're well within their right to do so. Bit funny though, because it's very much like the whole split was over restraint of trade. Yeah. But I suppose, yeah. So it's available. I don't know. I'm not privy to any information. But it's any current world champion who's able. Like some people have asked me about Tony David, and obviously we send our best to Tony. Hope you're doing well, pal. He's waiting for another transplant, but I'm sure if he was fit and able, he'd love to play in it. Dennis Priestley's another one. I think he's just having a knee operation. Knee
operation that again he's going to be involved some way. He's desperate to play. It's obviously how the op goes. If it's all well and good, he'll be playing. If not, he's certainly going to be in and around the event because he absolutely loves.
Oozes class, does Dennis?
Yeah, and I suppose that the biggest one, the governor, is in, because this probably wouldn't work
No,
if Phil doesn't do it.
No, and that's again, that's no disrespect to the rest of the boys, but he still remains outside of Eric Bristow, he still remains the biggest name in the game. He was a game changer. It's down to him and Barry and Matchroom in the PDC world. These boys are earning £1 million a year, and there's a tour worth 16 odd £1 million a year. And if you're going to do something with the seniors, he's got to be involved. And I mean, a lot of people think it's a foregone conclusion he wins it. I mean,
I think it is.
I don't think it is. Like I say, I've seen Burnett at 110 averages. I've seen Martin Adams at consecutive 105s and
9 darters and still 64 years old.
Yeah. So to think it's going to be a foregone conclusion. I mean, the last Legends one I did for Jess, Keith beat Phil in that.
Yeah.
Keith Dunner, and he will, trust me, he won't leave any stone unturned. He'll be practicing now for that. Bob Anderson can still throw a mean dart. I mean, Lowy with that throw
just doesn't break down, does it?
No, and and it's all right saying, I've seen him in an exhibition, and it was like, he only had a 20-odd darter, but the preparation for exhibitions, you're there because of who you are and what you did. You shouldn't be, you're not going to really particularly be judged, and
you're getting a fixed fee regardless of what you do.
Whereas this one's
they're playing for prize money.
Playing for 25 grand. And and all the bragging rights that go with it. And of course it's a fabulous tour, because off the back of it, I mean, again, I don't know, if it follows the snooker model, which is obviously run by Jason Francis, who's involved with this, with Jason Tame, there will be a tour.
That's the long-term goal. It's launch it with this into the tour.
So they have something to properly practice for. Preparing for an exhibition and preparing for another world title it's like comparing apples and oranges. You don't practice for exhibitions when the Legends are there because of their name, and it's more about meeting and greeting and everything else, and they go up
it's business.
Yeah, they just want to meet the players, but I can assure you that all these legends that are in this will be taking a much different approach. And Phil's going to absolutely hammer that dartboard.
Oh, he's already got Gary Plummer making him some new darts. What he wants.
So he's got some new darts in development. I mean, he's obviously a massive favourite. But it wouldn't be the biggest shock in the world if he didn't.
Never write the wolf off.
No, or Burnett, there's players involved.
John Hartstill could still
exactly, and again, he probably didn't apply himself the last few years as much as he probably could have,
100%.
because he was he's carved out a great career in the media now, but John's another one. He wrung out every little bit of talent he had in his body. A 3-time world champion, and he's another one. He will apply himself and he will leave no stone unturned.
Yeah, just a couple of questions on here in the chat room. It says the seniors event have to have won a world championship to qualify. No, the world champions are being invited, but the qualifier is going to be open.
Yeah.
So if you're over 50, the qualifier will be open, and there'll still be some names in there that haven't obviously got an invite because they haven't won a world title.
Yeah.
But the qualifier will be open, and look.
I mean, I did turn it down.
But the first year, 16, because it's new.
Yeah.
We don't want to kill it trying to do it. But long term, look, this wants to be expanded to 32 in the finals.
Well, it has to prove it works, doesn't it? I mean, a lot of money and a lot of time, so much planning. This isn't just something that the two Jasons have just sort of plucked out of the air. Jason Francis has been involved in snooker, and darts for, I don't know, way over 10 years. Probably getting on for 15 years. 16 initially, I think, is a good idea. To tell you what, the two come through the qualifiers would have done well, because that's going to be tough. I know of loads of fellas that are in their 50s that may have just played a bit of county or played for England or Wales or Scotland or Ireland or Northern Ireland that can play darts at a high level.
Well, don't want to name drop here because we'll see here anyway, but Jason Askew messaged me. He said, "Are you here next week now?" I said, "Yeah." He was like, "Dad wants to get involved in the seniors." Diamond Dave's Again, what's a player?
Yeah, unbelievable player. I played him in the World Championships at the Tavern many years ago. Great player, Dave.
Yeah. So from social media, Jamie Harvey.
Yeah, Jamie Harvey's another one. Dave Whitcomb, Peter Everson. I mean, the list is endless.
Yeah.
Of guys, around 50 and 60 that can still play darts. And the thing is, there isn't anything for us. I mean, I've not picked up a dart for a year for obvious reasons, but even prior to that, I was like, well, what is there for me?
Yeah.
There wasn't anything for me. Where if there was a tour and I was lucky enough to, however they're going to work out how they're going to get a tour, and I was lucky enough to be in it, I'd have a go. I'd give it.
You fancy a bash?
Yeah, I'd give it everything, because I couldn't do the schedule, and I mean, I'm not good enough to play at the the top end of the game. I'd be very unlikely I'd get a tour card. I always said I fancied that I could qualify for the UK Open, and I still do if that ever comes about again. But if I had something to play in that wasn't expecting me, like these boys going off to Germany for 4 days and then back to Milton Keynes and playing for 4 days solid, I couldn't do that. I've got too many interests away from, it's in darts, but away from darts. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like things like this and stuff we do, and then obviously my TV stuff. I wouldn't be able to commit to becoming a dart player all over again. So, but if they said to me, right, Mace, we got 10 months of the year, once a month we're going on, we got a tour, it's once a month, it's going to be in a theatre or something like that in front of 1,000 people, would you be up for it? And I would give it my all.
Not just that as well.
In terms of
obviously
practice.
This is a long-term goal, a long-term vision. I look in the top end of the game now, Gary Anderson,
50.
Peter Wright, Simon Whitlock. There's a lot.
Merv King.
Dozer.
Yeah, Glenn Darren.
There's a lot in the next 5 or 6 years that if this can grow into the nest that we all think it is, this could be some.
Yeah, could be seriously. I'm not being funny. I mean, if they, the thing is, if they sort of dropped off the tour, which they eventually will do.
Everyone.
But the thing is, where it's different. Back in my day, you had to play into your 50s to make enough money to retire, right? You had to play for 20 or 30 years. You look at someone from start to finish. Gavin Price is 7 years involved in the game now, already a millionaire, right? He could literally be in and out within 10 years.
Set his family up for life.
And have made millions, and then could say, well, I still want to play a bit of darts. When I finished, I'd had enough, but there was nothing else that appealed. With all due respect, there was nothing within the BDO system that appealed to me.
No.
I certainly wasn't being crammed into shitty little holiday camps and playing on ropey dartboards with someone screaming down a microphone and redraws and all that. That didn't appeal. Once you played in the PDC and you'd had the very best of the best, there was nowhere else. I mean, the PDC was run like a Rolex. It was a beautiful environment to play in, all in your individual booths. You had chalkers. You weren't waiting for anything. You know what I mean? The prize money was paid when it was meant to be paid, and you knew there was an end goal. Well, look at this environment that Jason and George have set up. I mean, this is stunning. What basically they've just followed the ideal model and created this platform, right? And the seniors is going to be the same. They're going to have, each player will have a practice board and everybody will know what's going on.
100%.
Everything will be done perfect. And that would interest me enough. I mean, if I'm not involved in the broadcasting, as I've said, which I'd love to do the commentary on it, because, it's my era. I'm a historian of the game.
Yeah.
And I'd love to do it with Gwynny. No disrespect to all the other commentators out there, but Gwynny's the only one left that was there from the beginning.
Yeah, I know.
And I for just selfish reasons, I just love to see the glow on his face.
I absolutely love it.
Yeah. And we've all been all thinking about him. He hasn't been well recently, so we wish him all the best on his road to recovery. But yeah, I would love to do it with Gwynny. But if I don't, I'm going to go in the qualifiers.
Interesting times.
Dennis Arbor, that's what I'm thinking about him.
Christian says, do you think Phil Taylor will walk it? No, I don't think he'll walk it.
No.
Genuinely don't.
I mean, he was involved. I mean, I know it was only like when we first started this off, where people were in their home, although we did it to another level with split cams and everything else. He got beat by Wolfie, and Fallon ran him close, and he played Ray in a few of them things. And he played Makuru, and
Jason Askew beat him in the as well.
Yeah, Jason Askew beat him. So he can still play at a high level, but every now and again, he's with how the seniors is going to work. He's not going to get 2 bites of the cherry. The draw comes out, he gets Adams. Adams averages 105. He's out potentially, and that could happen. That wouldn't be, because we've constantly seen that from Mara, and we've seen 110 averages from Ritchie.
Yeah.
So yeah, and you don't know who's going to come to the qualifiers.
Yeah.
And what my original point, which I'll try and get back to, whereas before a lot of these guys now that, the guys you mentioned who are into their 50s now, they'll look and go, well, do I really need to still playing? We know Gary has mentioned it a few times that, if you said to him, I tell you what, Gary, you carry on and you do your fishing eights and your exhibitions, but how do you fancy a year on the seniors tour? He would absolutely love that. You say to Gary, all we need once a month, Gary, and then the World Championships at the end of it.
Oh, I'd love it. Because he can still fit.
He could still focus on his lakes and his other business interests, and that'd be perfect for him. Off doing exhibitions, and a lot of the players now are in that financial position that they could potentially do that when they've had enough. It's not like they haven't got to stay in there right to the very end until they've got nothing left. Yeah.
Paul says, is Bobby George involved? Yeah, I don't think Bob can play. I don't think his knee would allow him to. But
he's got hardly any toes left. He's got both hips
have been done.
Hips have been done. His knees have been done.
But I'm 99% certain that Bobby will be involved.
And that's the thing. The ones that can't play. Like I said, if I go in the qualifiers and don't get through in that, and I'm not doing any of the broadcasting, I'm going anyway.
Yeah. Bob will be. To be fair, Bob will be a good one to have doing some comms as well.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And he's got loads of experience. He did it for the Beeb for years. He'd be great to have as, Bobby has so many great stories of playing alongside the players that are going to be there, and of course we're going to remember the players that are no longer with us, like the Erics and Alan Glazier and Alan Evans, and there's so many greats that we wish were still alive that could go in it, that were taken a little bit too early. So yeah, there'll be so much time for us to reminisce over the greats of the period. John Lowe was around right at the very beginning, early 70s.
Yeah.
Or maybe around 70. Because, PDC didn't invent darts. There was darts.
Did it not?
No, there was darts before the PDC.
All good.
There was darts before the BDO, and then actually the same split type of thing that happened with the WDC back then happened with the NADGB or whatever it was called.
Missy Man in chat room, how are you all doing? Paul says about Big Cliff, is he still around?
Yeah, I think Big Cliff will be another one that I know at the moment he's just world champions, but if they didn't get enough world champions, he'd have to be shortlisted, surely.
100%. Yeah, I'm with you there.
Yeah, definitely Big Cliff would have to be involved.
Where was the other one I was looking at? Done Bobby.
Chris, do you think Paul Nicholson is this generation's Sid? No, I think he's just Paul Nicholson.
Yeah, just very good at what he does.
Yeah, he's got his own style. Everybody likes different things.
Yeah. Someone said about new players coming in future weeks. Yes, there are. Look, the amateurs obviously work still, so some of them had to book time off and slots like that. But don't worry, there are still plenty of new faces coming in. Look, we can't tell you who they are because it's not that. We just tell you who the next weeks are. We've seen the list, and there are some fabulous names to come in.
And around Christmas time, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah. From there, there's this thing that starts again on Monday. I don't know if you've heard about it. It's the Premier League.
I actually watched all of it. I know. Normally I watch night one, judgment night, and the finals. Well, I'm normally doing the finals on the radio. But yeah, out of curiosity, and I suppose my I don't know. I just wanted to watch it, and I absolutely loved it.
Yeah,
I was devastated that Glenn's struggling so much. That's not nice to see because we have a fair bit of banter, but I think the world of the guy, and I certainly wouldn't wish that on him. That's for sure. And listen, the guy's got stones the size of houses. He's tenacious.
He'll work it out.
He'll work out. Listen, you don't become a bad player overnight. He's just having a little bit of a wobble. It's a confidence thing. I'm not quite sure about the new darts. I know there's not a lot of different, but there's a little bit too much grip on them, which they may be just sitting in his hand a little bit too long. It looks like there may be a balance issue, so it might need a slight tweak here and there. But there were signs, and then I can't remember which game it was.
But night 1 and night 5, there was signs that it was coming back. Yeah, he missed a lot of darts at doubles, but the scoring was starting to come back.
And that killed him because he just didn't get away with anything. And when you're struggling, it ain't that always the way.
100%.
People are pinning darts you're pinning doubles with their last dart, and then right in the corner or nowhere near.
Deflects off another one.
Oh, it just honestly, it's just like getting stamped on your big toe and then kicked in the shins and a poke in the eye.
Jose Ninth has a tournament average of a ton.
Yeah, I know. He's another one. He's had absolutely no luck, none at all. Look at those names down at the bottom: Gary Anderson, James Wade. Although they're all on 5 points, so it's slightly misleading. But Johnny Clayton and Dimitri have been. Although I can't say I'm surprised anymore, can you?
No.
Johnny Clayton, arguably playing some of the best darts in the world right now. We've had this discussion over the years. We don't tend to look at world rankings. Yes, they're a great basis over a long period of time, but we like to look at
the here and now.
Who's world number one now, or who's the best dart player in the world right now? For me, it's Johnny Clayton. Michael, we did suggest it when we did one of these a few weeks ago.
There's signs that he's going to go berserk,
and he did a couple of times.
Yeah.
Did have a couple of off games. Peter Wright was playing lovely, and then comes out with them darts.
Boing.
I am totally bored with it. And then of course we had the Rob Cross fallout with Wayne, which is sort of like 6 to 1, half a dozen the other. But I sort of get where they're coming from, and people say, "Well, you've said a few things about it." I've said my main criticism, and it wasn't even a criticism. That's the difference. I have an observation. I'm not a critique. I have an observation. I seen a thing with Michael where the dart started to close in the hand.
Yeah.
Not doing it now, or it's not as pronounced. For whatever reason, Wayne wanted to argue over that, so I got ITV to put 2 split pictures up, one from the UK Open from 3 years ago and one from yesterday when we were there and he played his first match. And lo and behold, it was, not that's an exaggerated thing, but it was definitely the hand was closing over the dart, and that was causing him a bit of timing issue and a bit of issues around the doubles. But Michael is a winner. He's a winning machine. He goes away, he puts it right, the darts are right, he comes back, starts pumping in big averages and sitting pretty in the Premier League right now. Not top, that won't bother with him. Within touching distance. Listen, his priority is top four, and then we'll see him sort of start putting down some big markers.
You have to excuse this graphic. I sort of bodged it together quite quickly. However, we've got some fixtures here.
Oh, good.
I tell you what, game 1 of night 6, the first one back.
That's Monday the 19th.
Yeah, I think this game is huge. Rob Cross against Gary Anderson.
Huge.
If Gary loses this one, he's in a whole world of trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. And the problem for Gary, and rightly so, he's decided not to go to Germany for the Super Series.
We'll come on to that in a minute. Don't worry.
Now, if he'd have gone to that, I'd have fancied him heavily. I love that Cross has got a bit of fight about him, hasn't he?
No.
He's standing up to be counted. Where
Just
before,
I'm
exactly, and rightly so. The guy's achieved more in the game than
don't win a world title in a match play.
99.9% of the people in the world.
Yeah.
And he deserves a bit of respect. It's all right, sort of picking up. Like I said, I'm not a critic. I observe things and then I talk about them. And I thought at times his timing looked a little bit out. The throw looked a little bit too quick in terms of the acceleration from the backswing. He looks like he's softened it down a little bit. Looks a bit like the timing's a little bit better. The rhythm's there. The stop-start thing, I didn't hear anybody moaning about that when he hit 107 average when he stuffed Taylor in the final.
Step back on his
140, treble 18, treble 18, step back, double 16, wallop. Here's £500,000. So yeah, I just think you've got to be a bit. I think sometimes it can be misunderstood. And listen, this isn't. I totally get where Wayne's coming from, and like I said, I think he was basically picking up on things that he thought was wrong. You got to remember, he's like the David Ledbetter, or is it David Ledbetter, the golf guy?
Yeah, I'm a massive golf
guy. Of darts, isn't he? Of course. So I suppose he may see things the rest of us don't.
Second game as well is also huge in this relegation battle. Jose against Wadey.
Huge.
These two games, the loser of both of these.
Well, they're like, what do they say in football? Like
6 pointers.
6 pointers.
100%.
Yeah, totally agree with you. Yeah, they're massive for varying reasons. Not just that current position in the table. Confidence. It's how you regroup and go on. And all these guys, like we've seen at this level, no one's immune to that momentum. You know what I mean? That feel-good factor of winning a game, and then you look when you win it, when you're on a roll, you look forward to your next game. When you're on a bad roll, you think.
Well, I know James is obviously in the form of his life again. He's reinvented him, but if he loses to Jose, the fixtures he's got after that.
And to be honest, Jose's he beat him in the final of the Slam.
Yeah.
And Jose is just a nightmare for him because he can't rattle him.
Just doesn't care, Jose, does he?
And he's one of those type of players that James tends to struggle with if he's not at his very, very best, and that's the scoring power, because James is just not the biggest scorer in the world.
But then James plays Peter Wright, again, Johnny Clayton,
and I struggle to see how
and finishes with Dimitri Vandenbergh.
Yeah,
so if he loses to Jose, that's not pretty. I know you're playing the elite here, so there's not an easy game.
I mean, what do you think he's going to win out of them? I mean, even if he just wins half of them, is it going to be enough?
I just don't know anymore. Because, again, Gary, if Gary loses to Rob, I'm playing devil's advocate. If he wins, obviously confident. If he loses, he then has to play Michael Van Gerwen, Dimitri Vandenbergh, and Nathan Aspinall.
And that's a horrendous run. And Nathan's got his tail up again.
That's what I mean.
He was.
This is why night one in this Premier League is huge for the relegation.
Well, you think coming into the Premier League, me and you were a little bit fearful about Glenn and Nathan.
Yeah.
But Nathan just started to turn it around before the Premier League started. And he's been outstanding.
Yeah, 100%. Guys in the chat room are all going off. It's absolutely great. But in terms of that top four, we've touched on the bottom. Surely the Ferret's not going to miss out on that top four. He's playing too well.
Yeah, he's like I said, he's playing the best darts in the world right now. And you can't argue with it. You can't, since picking up that World Cup, I think that, and again, the importance of that winning feeling and playing well under pressure. He's just kicked on from there, and then got the call for the Masters, and took the opportunity. We've seen him make finals before and win European tours, so he's not alien to him winning, but the actual quality of darts he's playing now. I mean, in that Premier League, it was just poetry in action.
Yeah,
beautiful to watch.
Again, Dimitri in the form of his life, and we've said it time and time again that his floor form isn't great. But once you're in that top 10, you don't need to have good floor form because you're in every TV tournament.
Exactly. You don't even need to worry about playing in them most of the time, really, do you? I mean, I can understand playing in the Euro tours because it's
25 grand
and it's massive crowds and it's great experience. It's a great branding tool. It's a great shop window for the players, because of course they still do a lot of high profile personal appearances and exhibitions, and of course advertising. Like I get paid for,
especially in Germany as well.
This one, yeah, especially in Germany. So it's not the be all and end all of his floor form, and listen, his stage form. I worry a little bit when the crowds come back, I have to say, because I don't think I'm not necessarily they're not going to be as they're deadly, aren't they? The crowd.
Players won't get away with certain tactics with a crowd, shall we say? Is that a fair way to put it?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much bang on the money, mate. Yeah, they're not going to get away with it.
No.
They're going to give them Mel's abuse. But maybe the actual now there's no better knowledge than actually going up there and doing it, and not hoping you're going to do it. That's the thing. A lot of players are like, oh, please, I'd love to. I remember hitting my first 100 average and thinking, oh my God, I knew it was in the locker. But then once you actually go up there and do it, the confidence it gives you to feel like you can do it again is there's no other feeling. And that's why Dimitri, he made that breakthrough, didn't he? Was it on one of the Euro Tour ones?
Yeah.
They beat Michael and then lost to Menzer in the final in Germany, wasn't it?
World Series. In Schalke Stadium.
Yeah,
when it was 20,000 or whatever it was.
Yeah, that was a huge.
Beat Gary as well.
Yeah.
Beat Gary, Michael, then lost to Menzer in the final.
Yeah, huge breakthrough. And he's just kicked from there, really. And great runs in the Worlds, of course.
Very topical one here. This Super Series in Germany, obviously, there's been a government rule change. So players.
I'll let you do this.
Thanks. There's been a government rule change. So now players coming back have to isolate for 10 days, or is it 6, maybe 7 if you do a quick
2 tests.
2 tests or something. But you still
test after 2 days, test after 5.
But you have to wait for that 5th to come back, which could take up to 48 hours. If you're unlucky.
Because it's a lab test.
Yeah. So the rules have changed.
And the cost.
I'll come on to that in a second. First of all, should this block of Pro Tours be happening in Germany now?
No, I don't believe so. I think it's too high risk. Look at Paul Gessie, right? Fails a test, thrown out of the Premier League, right? So you imagine a Premier League player going over playing in this Germany one, right? Their case rates over there are through the roof right now. Say you come back and do a positive test. Even if it is a false positive, it's irrelevant. The chances of any player getting sick because of their age and everything else is unlikely anyway, right? They got more chance of, anybody under 50 got more chance of dying from being hit by lightning or whatever. But you go over there to try and win an event with a first prize of 10 grand, or say Johnny Clayton went over, comes back, feels fine, gets a false positive or gets a positive, he's just going to miss out on 300 grand, potentially. Yeah. He can win 300 grand at the Premier League.
Well, already from social media, we know there's at least, this was at lunchtime, so it might be higher, there was at least 15 that had pulled out, and that, by the sounds, it was going up by the hour.
Yeah, what I think they should have done is, if they want to give the players a run out, is paid us to host them here.
Yeah.
we'd have had a group of 16 of them every day and found one winner.
Look, I know people are there's too much in Britain. I'm not saying the Pro Tour shouldn't be in Germany.
No, absolutely not.
They should
we want Pro Tours all over the world.
Exactly that. But right now, for me, cancel the one in Germany, play it in the UK where it is much safer right now, and that's a fact. People can't argue with the stats. It is safer in England now than it is Germany.
Absolutely, there's more cases of chlamydia in the country than there is COVID.
And redo the German block of Super Series later in the year. No one's arguing. No one's saying you're not having it. Just move it.
Yeah. Well, we had to pull the World Series events. Which of course costs me money, puts me out of a job, costs the players money, costs you money in fact.
Yeah.
But it's the right and safest thing to do. We're the whole of Europe should be singing from the same hymn sheet with this, because the quicker everybody gets it into their head what it is and gets it under control. I mean, they've even stopped doing their jabs over there, haven't they?
Yeah.
So for every month they don't get it under control, it's another month that they're going to still be in lockdown, and it's another month that this situation continues, and of course we don't want the darts in blocks in Milton Keynes. We want them back up at Wigan and Barnsley.
But yeah, no, I agree that
I just think
there's too many pulling out, and there's too.
I think the problem is obviously there's two parts to the PDC. There's PDC over here and there's PDC Europe. They've had little to no darts.
Yeah.
And I think there was so much planning. And of course, initially, without getting into lockdowns, but this is why lockdowns don't work, because all they've done is just slowed down the whole process. Initially, they were getting back to normal. Well, no one would have caught it, had they? But you can't get rid of a virus. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't disappear. It just, everybody's got to get it in some capacity or somehow, or this jab, which doesn't get rid of the virus. It doesn't stop you catching the virus. It doesn't stop you spreading the virus. All it is, if you're vulnerable, you won't die from it. Or that's, fingers crossed, touch wood, that's what they hope. So all these countries that did all these lockdowns early and went, oh, look at us, we haven't got it. Well, you're going to get it. You're going to get it. That's it. It's now endemic, and we're gonna have to live with it. And unfortunately, for me, I think it's we're going to a country where case rates were like ours at its absolute peak, and we're sending out players out there that could potentially then, catch it, and cost themselves. Not all players are pros, so they might not be able to go work for 10 days.
Well, this is the thing. It's the quarantine bit that has absolutely killed it for a lot of people. If you're a Premier League,
the elite are allowed to go and play in the Premier League. So you're sending all those players over there, the ones that go that are in the Premier League, to
I don't think they'll go
to potentially come back and throw a false positive at the Premier League, right? Because he got thrown out for a false positive.
I genuinely think we'll only see maximum 2 of the 10 that are in the Premier League.
So one lives fairly close, Michael.
Yeah, I think
a few hours in a car.
He hasn't got to go in an aeroplane, so I think he'll play for that reason. And I think.
And they are all tested when they arrive, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it's the plane and the travel and everything like that to minimise it.
Who else do you think is going to play?
I think Glenn will go.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, well, he's had it, hasn't he? So he's all right. He ain't got to worry about catching it.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe the other one that gets relegated, unless it's Gary, obviously.
Yeah,
no chance.
Gary.
But I think anyone else won't risk it. I genuinely don't.
No, I'd be amazed. I know Gezzy's not in the Premier League, but he would definitely go, I would have thought.
Because he's got no darts otherwise for such a long time, so it's a run out for him.
Needs to sharpen up. And that'll do him good, getting over the disappointment of the Premier League, of course.
Right, let's go through.
I'm being called in to get my vaccination on the 30th of April.
Good
Second
stuff.
on the 4th of June, I'm getting my Pfizer. Okay.
Another lockdown soon? No. Wow, Chris, too opinionated? No, not a chance. Everyone's entitled to an opinion.
I don't have an opinion. What I say are based on facts.
There's the Phil Taylor dance.
So, Daddy.
There was one up here. Mace versus Bars charity match. We haven't got that long to do it, have we?
No, got it. Be a bit horrendous. Jeez. We'd have to play 101, mate.
101. If we miss how many darts nearest the ball,
yeah.
Thank you in the pub.
Give it 10 minutes and we'll go nearest the ball. Both end up on double one.
Yeah, any questions, get them in.
We'll do 10 minutes.
We'll do 10 minutes question time. And then we will obviously we all need Phil Bars and vintage cars. Not a car person myself, but we'll take the first one.
The unelectric rulers, Whitty and Valence, absolutely. Both have massive investments in the farmer.
Yeah.
Big farmer. All we know is Phil Bars and vintage cars. I like that.
Yeah.
I've got one out there actually. Yeah, we could do a series of that. Mason is Bars and Macy's vintage cars.
Yeah.
In the Netherlands, they're a slower vaccine. Yeah, hence we still call that. Exactly. It's not a vaccine, by the way.
So yeah, we're obviously streams a couple minutes behind, so we'll let them come in.
German needs anyway, film Chris have a mind on it.
The German Super League. I haven't seen any of it. It started today. I must admit, I haven't seen any of it. Yeah.
Well, that's what they did last year.
Yeah, they're doing it.
With the bloke with the lollipop.
Yeah. I think he's redundant this year. I don't think they need him.
Germans are so efficient, but that was just bonkers.
Yeah, 100%. Someone says lost volume. 2 seconds. Should be all right. Hopefully.
Can modus create the COVID disproportional response tournament featuring false positive players? I like it. It's a bit of a mouthful. I'm not sure I can get that out.
Yeah, I say try saying that one.
Still seeing volume, but I think it's back now.
Yeah. Let me go into the options here. Everything seems to be.
Yeah, everything's switched on.
Everything's switched on. Just mute and unmute, see if that works. But you're saying there's really no. Should be a reason for that. Everything is.
Pay the bill.
Yeah.
Pay the bill, Phil.
Yeah. Shouldn't be. Everything is done and dusted. So yeah, if it has gone, it has gone. Ted Hankey in the Darts League soon. Potentially, yeah. Never rule anything out.
I think it's a name that's come up. We've reached out to Terry Jenkins, I did. Volume is cranked. I can barely hear you, Phil. It's a little bit weird.
Yeah, 2 seconds.
Either is it volume control on out from?
No, it's been good. That's all good. Interesting. I'm not quite sure what's gone on there then. Well, if that's the case, we'll wrap it up and we'll see what we can.
Yeah, a bit of sign language.
Yeah, no. But just want to thank you all if you can hear us. Our pleasure. And of course, 9:30 this evening for the final of the Online Darts Live League. Mace will be calling it in.
I've gone for Kevin Burness. What are you going for? Burnett.
No, but I'm going Ritchie.
Burness or Burnett?
Yeah, begins with a B.
Yeah.
Right. So cheers, guys, and we will see you all very, very soon. Signing off.